Welcome to Elevate Your Event, your go-to podcast for transforming fundraising events. Join us weekly for expert tips and creative ideas to make your next event a standout success. On this week's Elevate Your Event, we're thrilled to have Lori Makkai, Matt Reilly, Stefanie Mason, and Jeff Porter from Handbid in the studio. Together, we dive into effective goal setting with SMART goals and explore the transformative ideas in John Acuff's All It Takes is a Goal. Join us for an insightful discussion on setting achievable goals to enhance your event planning and fundraising efforts.
Welcome back to the Elevate Your Event podcast, where we talk about all the various ways you can make your next fundraising event better. And we are going to talk about goals today. Because Lori, who's on the episode with us, has a goal of getting you in and out of this podcast faster than any of the other previous ones, apparently.
It's like, I think our podcasts are too long. I don't think people want to listen to the entire thing.
I don't know. We have show notes. You can skip around. We don't care. Anyway.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, let's introduce our crowd that we have today. We got some fresh blood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fresh meat. What do you call it? Fresh meat?
I think it's fresh meat.
Yes,
Yeah.
Matt Reilly.
Woo!
Yay, Matt.
Matt's one of our channel account managers, and Matt has decided to join us. I think he was walking down the hall back from the bathroom, and we said, Matt, get on this podcast.
Let's talk goals today. All right, yeah, sure. Oh, in the podcast? Okay.
Yeah. And we got our head of marketing, Lori Makkai.
That's me.
We have our former show producer.
Fired already. Didn't even make it a year.
Yeah. And then Jeff Porter, CEO of Handbid. We are excited to talk about goals. Why are we talking about goals? Well, because we hate to kind of date or time when some of these episodes come out, but we are running into the end of the year, and so this is the time of year when we're all goal setting. And we're goal setting with our charities, we're goal setting with our company, we're goal setting with our personal lives. So we decided it'd be appropriate to talk about what do goals really mean? How do we effectively use them? Because so many of us set goals in so many organizations. We talk about the goals we set, and then they somehow just go by the wayside, or they just, I don't know, maybe we don't set them properly, or maybe we don't do what it takes to kind of get there. So,
Or communicate them.
yeah.
They just kind of stay quiet.
Right. And it is absolutely one of the first questions we ask prospects who come in and talk to us at Handbid. Like, so what's your goal? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to raise? What did you raise last year? What did you raise the year before that? What are you expecting to raise this year? Because if you don't set goals, you don't know where you're going to go, right? So anyway, we have a lot of different conversations in the office about goals, and we just actually, everybody at Handbid got a gift. So we gave them John Acuff's book, All It Takes is a Goal. If you guys have not read it, it's a fun book to read. He's got a very fun tone. The audiobook is also equally as fun. So if you guys are not readers, but you're listeners, maybe check out the audiobook. But so we'll kind of mix in some of that. But one of the things that everybody in our group wanted to start with, especially around fundraising goals, is SMART.
Make your goals SMART.
Yes. So this comes up a lot when we're talking about goals in our group, and we say, well, are they smart? And then I think in the beginning we're thinking, well, I don't think it's a dumb goal. I think it's a really good goal. But that's not what we mean. Matt, what do we mean by SMART goals?
Oh, man. Do we want to take it one at a time, each
Yes.
letter at a time? So SMART, S, specificity. How specific is your goal?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is
So,
it easy?
I could say, I want to raise more money. Is that specific goal?
No.
Not enough. Not nearly enough.
Yeah, we made that one easy, didn't we?
That's not a SMART goal.
That is not a SMART goal. So we need to be specific, right? We need to say we want to raise $150,000 in this event, right?
Or maybe it's not dollar-based. Maybe it's donor-based. Maybe it's, I want to increase my donor base by 1,000 people in 2024.
Right.
I want more bids on my items.
But this
200
this
more
goes
bids.
into the next one. So we could say we want to increase donor or guest satisfaction at the event. But what's the next one, Matt?
Oh, man. Me on, again, measurable. How do you measure these?
So how do we measure that? So what do you mean by I want to increase guest satisfaction, or I want to increase guest engagement? Well, what's one way that you could measure that at an auction event?
How many people are bidding on your items?
Yes.
Ding,
I
ding,
win.
ding, 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 ding.
Yay me.
So anyway, yes. Like, for example, we look at bidder engagement. So we'll look at bids per active bidder to say, wow, these people were definitely engaged. They were paying attention.
Or bidders versus guests. How many people at your event actually registered to bid to be active in your event?
That's right.
And you got to have data for that. So, good
luck.
You've got to know who they are. You do have to ask their name and contact information.
You know how you don't get that information? Paper bid sheet.
That's right.
Or deciding that your guests are way too important to ask them for their email address and register them into the bidding software when they arrive.
Yeah.
Never heard that one before. Anyway, we get really, really, really saucy at the end of the year, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Yeah,
We do get it. We've seen too much. We do
right.
reset next year, though, like January 1st.
We come back
do.
as way nicer people on January 2nd. Okay, so anyway, so then the next one, and this also comes up. What's the next
I'll
one?
go
Matt?
again. Don't ask me R because I forgot to write that one down. But A is attainable or achievable.
Okay, should we just skip ahead to R, or do you want?
Oh no, I'm just saying if we're gonna keep going in order.
Okay, so we have SMART. SMART is an acronym for the people that are not like fully with us yet. So anyway, so we had specific, measurable, and now we have achievable, right? Attainable, achievable. They have to be realistic, right? Which is the next one after that. But let's talk about achievable. Okay, so last year I raised $25,000 in my silent auction, and this year with basically the same set of items, I'm going to raise $250,000.
Right.
Probably not.
Nice. Good luck.
Unless you just got a whole nother group of bidders from somewhere. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so achievable, realistic, whatever you want to call it, like. They need to be realistic. And we hear this from people all the time. They're like, well, I had a silent auction goal of $750,000. And we're like, you had $100,000 in fair market value in your items, so probably not
Right.
going to hit that. Okay. Should we go ahead and just let Matt off the
Yeah.
hook?
Pass it to Lori.
Okay.
For R?
Yeah, I just forgot to write that one down.
I got this.
Spit it out, lady. Let's go.
Realistic.
No,
we do.
we already did realistic.
Oh, we're on
That's
time?
part of the attainable.
No, it's relevent.
Oh, relevant. Oh, my
Relevant.
goodness. I'm really butchering this.
This side of the table, man. I don't know.
This is why we hire people to help us with our goals at hand. No, so relevant, right? Because some goals are just not relevant. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, I want to have better food at my event or, whatever it might be. I mean, things that just don't really have any sort of impact. So they're not something that you necessarily need to set a goal on,
Yeah.
right?
I'm trying to think of an irrelevant goal for an event.
You guys are so good at goal setting. You can't even think of a
Can't
bad
even
goal.
fathom what a bad.
I am so good at goal setting. What would be irrelevant?
I can't.
Food? I don't know.
It could be the food. It could be, I want every past hors d'oeuvre to be eaten.
Oh, yeah.
Who cares?
Or I want every person to have a paddle number at the event.
Yes.
Name tag.
Oh, yes. That is a good one.
Name
See,
tag.
you had it all along.
Yeah.
You had to go to the name tag station. Yes. Anyway, and then the next one.
Time-based.
Time-based, right? So you have to say by, right? So if I'm going to lose 20 pounds, I need to lose 20 pounds by April 1st or something, right? You can't just say I want to lose 20 pounds because you got to put time. And we're going to talk about time and goals here in a second because time is the number one element in a goal, right? So that we understand there is time involved in goals, time involved in actually achieving goals, but then also some sort of time box or, right? Mm-hmm. I want to be married by the time I'm 30. And I want to get married. It's
a lot of pressure.
I guess your life is time bound, but it's like at some point you need to kind of put some goals in place, right? So good. Okay, so our goals should be SMART.
Yeah.
All right.
Agreed.
So everybody out there, when you're setting goals for this can be personal, but it also can be for your nonprofit, for your just specifically for your fundraising or even your fundraising event. Make sure those goals are SMART. Right. And you can chop them up. You can have more than one goal. Okay. So if your goal is big, because we've talked about different sizes of goals and, you can have massive goals that are SMART. Mm-hmm. And if you're a Jim Collins fan and you're into business, some people hate this term, but what do you call the gigantic goals from Jim Collins's built to last.
Is that the BHAG?
Yes.
Didn't they change it though to just the
I don't know. I mean,
Big,
this day and age,
audacious goal bag? I think they took the BHAG out.
the big, hairy, audacious goal, right? So this is saying, as your charity, say, you're dealing with, child homelessness. No child will be homeless in the city of Denver by 2029 or something, right? I mean, that's saying, wow, that's a big goal, right? I mean, that's saying I'm going to do something outrageous. Now, the question is when you set something that big, my charity is going to start, raising $1 million annually in the next 5 years, whatever it is. Now you got to figure out how you get there, right? And so there's a lot of businesses, they'll do like the 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plans, whatever. Some charities are good at that. You guys are kind of putting your planning together. And if you do create a goal that's like way out there, it would be helpful to give yourself some interim steps to get there. Okay. Let's jump into John Acuff's book a little bit because I like how he does it, right? Because he talks about these zones and, you've got your comfort zone and then you've got your chaos zone. Well, we all know what our comfort zone is, right? Yeah. And for a lot of us, we don't like ever leaving our comfort zone, which is probably why maybe we're afraid to adopt technology at an event, or we're afraid to move venues, or we're afraid to make some other kind of major change to our event. So we stay in our comfort zone, right? Because it's just easier. Because otherwise we tend to try to change everything at once and we end up in the chaos zone. Right. And we're trying to get into this productive zone, like where we're actually making progress towards our goal. So he has a couple different levels of goals. Do you remember what he called them in the book?
I just remember medium. Is that a medium? Was that one?
The names of the zones. That's it.
We should have had a quiz on this book.
I feel like I am being quizzed.
I know.
The easy goals.
Oh, easy.
Easy.
Easy goals, and then from there you have middle goals, right?
Middle.
Medium.
Middle.
Light, medium.
If you're raising $100,000 a year and your goal is to raise $1 million, you probably need some easy goals and then you need some middle goals, right? And easy goals, he suggests, should take you about 7 days to complete.
Okay.
Okay.
That sounds easy.
Yeah.
And middle goals, so if we're talking about an annual goal and it's a big one, then your middle goal should probably take a month or two.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So, say we're talking about our fundraiser. Okay. We can even talk about mine because I want to take my fundraiser from, I want to increase its revenue by over 50%. So then the question is if I want to take it from, say, 150,000 to, 225,000, how do I do that? And so you kind of break that down. So say our silent auction does 25K, I want it to do 40. Okay. So how am I going to do that? Well, I could say, oh my God, what am I going to, I get some of the same items, but maybe what I need to do is kind of set some middle goals saying I need to bring back the items that I got last year. Okay. That's a good start. And then maybe my easy goals is every week I'm going to try to get 1 or 2 new items from my auction.
Or maybe get some new solicitors.
Right. Yeah.
Some additional fresh blood.
Yeah.
Or at least, so many
Yeah, some people that can find some items
solicitations.
When what he says in the book, which I thought was good, is time towards goals is what makes the difference, right? And if you can spend, I forget, he gives you kind of tiers and qualifications. Like you spend 100 hours towards a goal, you're gonna get pretty darn close. So think about, maybe all your easy goals need to be is just phone calls. Like I just need to make. We do this in sales, right, Matt? It's like if I need to go out there and get so many new customers, I can boil it down to how many phone calls a day am I making? That's what we're talking about here, is chopping down your goal into very small, easy to digest and do activities.
Well, it's like weight loss, right? We're all coming into the new year. We're all thinking about losing weight. Maybe not everybody.
She's staring at me. While
Not everybody. Okay. Paranoia will destroy you, Jeff. But, it's like weight loss. If you say, I want to lose 50 pounds, that sounds like a big, hairy goal for some people. And you really need to consider, what can I do on a weekly, daily basis to get to that goal.
Absolutely right.
And it's way easier to say, you know what, I'm going to eat this many calories for a week, or I'm going to work out 3 times this week. That's my goal to get me to the 50-pound weight loss.
Yeah. And it's just making those small micro changes, right? And you make those small incremental changes to what you eat or how you work out, and you will see long-term results if you stick with it. That's his recommendation about, I just need to literally count the number of hours I apply to the goal, right? And so when you guys are thinking about your fundraiser next year and you're thinking, I need more sponsorship dollars, right? Well, then one of the things you need to think about is, how many phone calls do I need to be making weekly to sponsors?
Right.
To potential sponsors.
I mean, and one of the things we always hear, we're talking about monetary goals and fundraising or events, but what about just like experience goals where maybe you don't want to be run ragged this year at your event? You want to have your event next year. You're fine with the financial goal, but maybe you want to recruit additional people so that you have not lost a small piece of yourself in your event fundraising efforts.
Right.
Like that's a great goal for a lot of auction managers. I mean, they can only run one event a year because it all falls on them. Well, maybe this year your little goal is, I'm going to start recruiting some help. I'm going to start getting some additional people. I'm going to let go of the vine a bit. I'm going to, allow other people to help. So it doesn't always have to be a monetary goal.
It doesn't, and I think you're right. I mean, and it can still be smart and not monetary. It just has to be measurable, and that can be, how much time am I spending with my donors at the event?
Yes.
Right?
That's huge.
So I think, as you think about, all of the different things that you want to try to achieve, yes, some of them will be monetary. Some of them will not be. Some of them obviously are going to be ones that are going to have to get some sort of agreement upon, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to make it a goal at my event that I just put my feet up at my table. But I don't think that that's going to happen. If anybody's met my wife, that won't happen. So yes, make them, and that goes back to the realistic part too, right? Is sitting down and saying, is this, and we're not, look, I know they may be big and bold, and you can chop up and create your easy goals and your middle goals that are going to get you there, but still, is it even feasible? Right. I mean, I talked to a gentleman once, and I would say, when it comes to silent auction revenue, there's a max that certain people are going to pay for certain items. And I don't care how many cocktails they had at the event. There's still a max that most people will pay in an auction for something. Okay. And you can get some sort of rule of thumb or some idea of what that is. In this case, what we tend to look at is, kind of what the revenue is versus fair market value. And I would think I think on bid sheets, we always would see anywhere from 40% to 50% of fair market value is what an auction would pull in. And then with mobile bidding, it's usually in the 70s or 80s. Every once in a while, and sometimes with certain items, you'll go a little bit over that, because fair market value is also subjective in some cases, so it's not always accurate. People will, either bloat what an item's worth or undervalue it. Either way, this guy was like, our goal was, $30,000 in our silent. I'm like, you had $10,000 in fair market value of items. That's not likely attainable,
right?
Unless these are so amazing and they're just unique experiences and don't cost you a lot. So you need to really definitely look at certain things and decide. But and then obviously on the other ones, in terms of making sure that they're achievable or attainable, you can make, and this may be relevant is the right word, but I would like a goal that it's 85 degrees and sunny at my derby event. Okay. So throw those goals out.
Yeah.
Incrementally every day I watch the weather report. That's not
there are
happen.
some things you just can't control, unfortunately.
Yeah, and in this case, I mean, as you kind of sit down and think about, also think, kind of your goals. Think about how those goals like tie into the rest of what you're doing, right? Because what do we need to do at the event? What do we need to tell our guests? What our goals are.
I was like,
could have gone anywhere.
me too. I was thinking of all different things.
What do we want to tell our guests? We want to tell our guests what our goals are.
Yes.
Why?
Well,
because they
should
tie
know,
into our program services.
right? And they should know that goal before they even come to your event.
They should.
That should be part
But
of
you
your
have
ticketing.
plenty of auctioneers that will stand up and say, we are here tonight to raise $50,000 in this paddle raise.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully that auctioneer has half that money already in the bank before they get up there. But, you know, we're not here to talk about, paddle race tricks. It's another podcast, but honestly, right? I mean, you need to explain two things, right? Like, what is our goal and why, right? Kind of combine those together. What are we going to do with that kind of money? And then what's at stake if we don't hit it?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think you've got to be very, I would say fair but blunt with your guests, but, and you have to show them goals. Now, you don't have to show them a thermometer.
Right.
Right? I personally hate thermometers, but for those of you that feel like you need to show your guests that they've achieved something, great. Show them they've achieved something. But
I'm glad you're bringing this up, though, because I speak to several auction managers, and for whatever reason, like, there's a little bit of a fear around talking about the goal. Not even forget showing a thermometer, just even talking about the goal. I've heard everything from, well, if we say what the goal is, then, we might not surpass it, or we might not get to it, and then, it's
There's
like a failure.
A fear of failure.
Yes.
But what's the other one we see, which we also think is ridiculous?
Yeah, they think that once you hit the goal, nobody will keep giving.
Right.
Yes, they're going to stop giving.
It's
Yes.
like, oh my God, if we understate this goal, they're just going to hit it and they're going to stop. I'm like, they're not going to stop.
I'm like, guess what? You can change your goal
Yeah.
You can, but it's like,
The thermometer go back.
on the fly.
hello, I'm not that drunk. That goal was 25,000. You just took this thermometer off the screen and now it says 50. What is that?
Yeah.
That's like kind of moving the goalposts, right? I mean, that's like Charlie Brown Lucy thing. Like, if you've got your guests all ready to like hit that goal, let the fireworks go off.
Absolutely. And talk about, if they exceed the goal, then you get to talk about all of the extra things that you get to do that year for whatever cause that were unplanned, or you could get to double the amount of dogs or kids or whoever it is that you're helping.
Whatever. Look, our church had a goal of like serving like 1,000 families for Christmas, right? With presents. That's a great goal. Okay.
Yep.
Well, they said, we have definitely surpassed that. Our new goal is 2,000, but we hit our goal. We're happy. We committed to 1,000, and I think we're now going to hit 2,000, maybe 3,000, because people didn't stop.
Right.
Right? It's pastor didn't walk up on the stage and say, "It's time out. Stop donating."
It's too much.
Because unless there's a limit, right? But let's think about it. In most of our organizations, there's no limit to what we can do with the funds that come in. Right? It's just that our goal is to, give 50 kids a scholarship. If we get to 75 kids, that's amazing. But I have 75 that want one, or I have 100 that want one. Yeah, that one. Yeah, I agree with you. I never get that. They're like, take the thermometer down. We're going to change the goal. I'm like, then the poor people just feel like they're always short.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're never winning.
Yeah.
I love the concept that people have got to celebrate the goal. And you can't celebrate the goal and get it to the extent of excitement that you need it to get to unless you build it up. You have to build up the goal. You have to tell people about. I'm a big one of, they need to know this goal when they buy tickets. When they buy tickets to come to your event or a sponsorship, they need to understand exactly what it's going towards. And then when you hit that goal, we went to an event, actually Stefanie and I worked an event together where they hit this goal. The entire team's up there.
Yes.
They had confetti. It was, people are in tears because they met and exceeded their goal. And I'm working the event and I'm completely teared up. I'm like, oh, Stefanie met their goal. I'm like completely invested in. Well, I've worked with this group for a long time, so I'm invested with them anyway. But celebrate your goals. Please.
Absolutely. And we were actually there the year prior. They had the same goal and they fell just short of it. And nobody, it was, of course they were like, oh man, we had this big goal. We were just short. But it wasn't like people didn't come back the next year. And guess what? The next year, bam, they hit it out of the park.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, I digressed.
No, you didn't digress. You're absolutely right on. And then I think what other people do is they'll edit their goal down because they'll say, well, this person's not coming. And so because they're not coming, we're just not going to get that $20,000 donation. I'm like, why not? Did you ask them for it? He's not coming.
Did you still get it from
Did you make them mad? Call them up and say, sorry, you can't come. Can we still count on you this year to support us? And we also saw this during COVID, right? There's a lot of the editing down of, I can't ask my donors for money right now. You always can ask your donors for money. Let your donors decide whether or not they have the capacity to give. You don't need to make that decision for them. You don't need to change the goal because they're not there. You don't need to keep raising the goal because you're afraid they're going to stop bidding. I mean, these are all things that we do because we have like this, I forget what Noom calls it, but some sort of like distortion thing, right? Where it's like,
Yes.
I'm basically convincing myself of what reality is. It's not reality, right? I think Noom's going to kick me out now because I obviously don't remember what their terminology is, but
Those daily lessons.
my daily lessons. But it's true, right? That you call them soundtracks, call them whatever you want. These things where we convince ourselves this is how everybody else thinks, right? And we hear this too on, sales calls and support calls. Oh, my guests won't do that. My guests won't do that. My donors won't do that. Like, yes, they will. Yes, they will. Yes, they'll give you their email. Yes, they'll give you their credit card. Yes, they'll download an app to their phone. Yes, they'll donate money. Unless it's not achievable, right?
Right.
$1 million, right? You can throw it out there, but So anyway, yes, you've got to make it achievable, but you need to allow it to be achieved. I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And people like to know what they're contributing to. Like, I like to know that I'm contributing to reaching a goal. That's definitely my thing. So if I don't know what the goal is, then I'm wondering, what am I contributing to? Am I just contributing to your overhead? Am I contributing to a specific program? Like, I like to know.
Absolutely right. So we definitely need to share with them what it is, how it works, what we plan to do with that money. Look, I mean, you're not trying to scare them either. It's not like, if we don't hit our goal, these women are going to be on the street, right? I mean, you can allude to that, I suppose.
Maybe.
But, you definitely need to make them understand this is the impact of what we're doing, right? So I think that that's important as well. But, and just kind of to recap on this, so yes, you've got your SMART goals. We've gone through what all those acronyms mean. You need to put together a set of really small incremental steps to get there. Okay, so if your event's in April and you're listening to this in December or January, you still can do it. Don't be like, oh my God, there's no way. Yes, you can accomplish it. Remember, they just have to be weekly goals. Your weekly goals might be slightly bigger steps than somebody who has 11 months, but you can still do it. So that might be, I need to break this down into how many phone calls a week I'm making, how many auction items, how many Home Depots am I visiting, whatever it is to get your auction together, how many sponsors am I calling, put all that together and just apply time to it. I mean, that's the big takeaway that I think a lot of people miss as it relates to goals. All goals are achievable with enough time, right? So that's where when you put the time element in there and you're like, I'm going to make $1 million. Well, one day your organization might make $1 million. Okay. You just have to kind of figure out what those steps look like. So definitely don't edit yourself down. Come up with some sort of, all I got to do every week is do these small little incremental steps. I'll go from there.
And time is a great motivator. I mean, let's just be honest. Like, you attach a deadline, a time box, whatever you want to call it, to something. It's a great motivator. We all, even if you are not a complete procrastinator, we all can fall into those tendencies, and having that time.
Set your easy goal so you're not a procrastinator.
Right?
If you look down, you're like, everything's got to be a middle goal for me to get there. Don't do that.
No.
But you're right. I mean, you want to run a marathon, sign up for one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, nothing's going to motivate you more,
Why do you think weddings are such a big motivator for people for weight loss?
Yeah.
True.
Weddings are beach trips, right?
Beach trips.
Yeah.
But the other thing is also, like, you have to make sure, that you understand, like, the habits and the behaviors that are going to derail you from your goal, right? Yeah. What was the quote that he said? TikTok doesn't want you to achieve your goal. TikTok, Twitter.
Yeah, LinkedIn doesn't want you to, or not LinkedIn. Twitter doesn't want you to start a business. One of the other ones doesn't want you to write a book. They want
to keep you distracted on their platform.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, think about that. And so when you're thinking about, like, daily habits and your little easy goals, it's like you're going to sit down in front of the TV. Should I work on my fundraiser or should I watch an episode of, Cheers or something? Probably work on your fundraiser. Matt's like, Cheers, is that a show?
Cheers. Never heard of it. No, I'm just kidding.
It's on Paramount Plus.
A little before my time. My parents might enjoy it, though.
You're going to watch Survivor. Survivor was my downfall with my kids.
Oh, jeez.
That's so funny.
Right. So anyway,
Yeah.
Easy goals and then middle goals.
middle goals.
Easy
Yep.
goals, middle goals, your big audacious goal. All of them should be written smart. Even those easy goals, write them in the SMART format.
Yeah. So here's what he says. It's interesting. He says, when you've got only 2 gears, you end up in 2 places, either the comfort zone, which we talked about, or the chaos zone. But in the middle of those 2 extremes is where the real fun happens. That's the potential zone. And to get there, we need middle goals. So no one ever thinks, I just want to be in the middle, right? Right? But here was Twitter doesn't want you to start a business. TikTok doesn't want you to run a half marathon. And HBO Max doesn't want you to write a book. The modern world is designed to keep you from living up to your full potential. That is very true. So you got to be intentional about this stuff. So when you're talking about how much time am I spending, be intentional. When you're thinking about, how many, who I'm contacting or, what kind of other aspects of the event I need to go work on, you need to be intentional about spending time on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. It's been a good conversation.
Yeah.
I like goals.
Especially this time of year.
I like setting goals.
Setting goals. It's that time of year to set goals. Right?
Smart goals.
And then hang on to them, right? Because, I was mentioning this to you guys right before the podcast, but Peloton, I don't remember the exact figure, but their biggest month or week of churn is 2 weeks after the beginning of the year because everybody signs up for a subscription on January 1 and 2 weeks later they quit. Why? Because they set some goal that they can't possibly achieve. They look at it and say, I'm going to lose 50 pounds. How about you just say, I'm going to ride 25, 30 miles a week. And then when you hit that, say 40 miles a week. When you hit that, say 45 miles a week. That's how you're going to get there.
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes you have to walk before you can run.
Walk before you run. Crawl before you walk.
Stand up before you walk.
Straight on the Peloton.
Well, it's funny. Like, so when I did Noom, like the very first movement goal they give you is 5,000 steps. Well, my gosh, 5,000 steps is nothing.
Especially for you.
Seriously.
It is flat out nothing. But they're like, don't change it. You need to
Achieve
hit
it.
that. And then you need to hit 5,200 and then 5,300 and then, yeah. I'm like, all right, whatever. But I get it. Like, I understand the point of saying you're not going to start like a move goal and be like, I'm going 20,000 steps a day.
Have you done that? I've done that. That's the kind of stuff
20,000
I do.
steps?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, I'm going to try that.
yeah.
And I'm like walking everywhere. I'm like, it's awful.
And then you quit.
I'm like walking around my neighborhood randomly.
And then you quit. That's the whole point.
I totally quit.
Yeah.
Right. You need the easy goals.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Don't overwhelm yourself with your goals. It's part
All
of
right,
the SMART
so
process.
homework for all of our listeners. Set your goal, set your BHAG, set your 5-year, 10-year plan, your vision, where you want to be. Give yourself an annual goal, tie it into your fundraisers, and then start setting weekly easy goals.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Yes.
And maybe some quarterly, monthly, or middle goals. Sorry, quarterly, middle goals. What do we think?
I like it.
Yep.
I like it a lot.
All right, let us know how it goes, you guys.
Yeah.
All right, well, good luck with your fundraiser. Good luck with your goal setting. Make sure they're smart. If you guys don't remember what the SMART acronym is, it is
Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based.
time-based. There you go. All right. Okay, so until then, you guys, happy fundraising. We wish you all the best in your fundraising success, and we wish you all the best in your goal setting.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Elevate Your Event. A huge thank you to our guests for sharing their invaluable insights. If you enjoyed our show, please take a moment to leave us a review. You can find us on Apple, Google, and Spotify. Don't forget to subscribe for more great content. And if you're a fan of video, check us out on YouTube. Until next time, happy fundraising.